Hey there, David Chinelli here, Realtor with Royal LePage Signature, with another Real Estate Educational Friday. Today's topic is part 2 of buying a residential property here in the GTA. Well, you've already picked your realtor, you've been pre-approved, and you've been shopping. So what happens when you find a perfect property in which you want to own? So the next step is making an offer on that home. We have to focus on some key aspects which can either make or break the deal. The first component of an offer, which most people really care about, is the price. You want to make sure as the buyer that you're not overpaying for the home, but you also have to realize that the seller has a price point they want to get to. So we have to get to a price point with both sides are happy with. And we do this by figuring out what's going on in the market. We figure out what's sold recently. We also have to figure out if you're putting an offer in, is there other bids which may drive the price up, or how long has the property been on the market? For example, if the property's been on the market for 3 months, you may have some wiggle room. The next key component is the closing date. Some sellers may not have bought something in which they need to move in and may want a longer closing. Or they may have a vacant property in which they want a short closing so they don't have to keep the property that long and carry those costs. While vice versa, the seller may be renting from somebody and may need 60 days closing. Or may not, just maybe living with mom and dad and can really accommodate a short closing. So you have to come up with a date which satisfies both parties. The next key component is the deposit. Now the deposit is a good faith gesture from the buyer to the seller that they are going to go through with the sale of the home. And here in the GTA, it's usually about 5%. If you're putting down less than 5% or a significant less amount than 5%, the sellers start to worry that, A, are you really serious about this property? Because they feel as if you can back out any time. Therefore, you want to put at least 5% or more. If you put down more than the 5%, it shows the sellers that you are really serious as a buyer, that you are not going to back away from this. The last component of an offer is conditions. A condition is put into an offer for the buyer in which they want to see something satisfied before they can move forward with the transaction. And basically, there are 3 major conditions that we put into offers. The first one is a financing condition. This is a condition stated that the buyer can get or secure a mortgage for the home. The second condition we have is a home inspection clause. This is when a buyer hires a home inspector to make sure that the home is sound. And the third offer condition is what we put in for a condo corporation. And what it is a review of the status certificate. In a firm offer, however, there are no conditions. Basically, what you're doing in a firm offer is you are negotiating with the seller on price and closing date. Now, based on these 4 parameters, the buyer and seller can go back and forth until both sides are either happy and agree to a deal, or one or both of the parties walk away and now the deal is dead. If both parties agree and there are no conditions, congratulations, you bought your home. But if there are conditions, this leads us to the final step in the buying process, which is satisfying those conditions of the offer. Timelines for those conditions listed earlier are as follows. Usually, you have 5 business days to satisfy both the home inspection as well as the financing clause. In that time, you should hire the home inspector to inspect the home, and you should give all the documents to your mortgage broker, mortgage specialist to ensure you do have a mortgage. Sometimes these timelines may vary. If you're pre-approved, you could actually firm up the deal even sooner, but sometimes there might be some legalities in the background which you might need to extend. But usually, yes, it's 5 business days for those. And for a status certificate, well, if it wasn't ordered before the property was listed, it could take about 10 days to get the status certificate to the buyer. After the buyer receives the status certificate, their lawyer has 3 days to review it. With the status certificate, what the lawyer is looking at is the financials. They're making sure there's enough in the reserve fund in case something happens in which the condo corporation needs to fix it. Is there any special assessments coming up in the near future in which your maintenance fees would increase? Is there any lawsuits against the company again, or against the condo corporation? Again, these are all going to be long-term costs of which the new unit holder would have to pay for. They are also looking to make sure that the current owner is up to date with all its maintenance fee payments. After doing all of these analysis, at this point, a buyer will know if they are going to move forward with the transaction and purchase the home, in which they will have to sign a waiver saying all conditions are waived, or they may decide at this point to back away. If they decide to back away, again, a mutual lease will need to be signed, and the buyer will get back their deposit in full without deduction. Again, this is only on a conditional offer. Remember, if you went in firm, there is no way you can back out from the deal now. So if you decide to waive the conditions, or you went in clean and have an accepted offer, congratulations, you just bought your home. The last step is to send all those documents over to your lawyers and to make sure that everything goes nice and smoothly on closing. Before closing, a lot of times realtors will set up at least 2 or 3 buyer visits in which you can visit the property, do your measurements, and get a good feel for the property. Well, I hope you enjoyed this session of Real Estate Educational Fridays. If you have any questions or you want any topics for me to discuss, because honestly guys, I love teaching and I love real estate, so kind of combine these both together. Let me know if there is something you wish for me to discuss on the next Real Estate Educational Friday. Up until then, have a great day. Bye for now.